Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Zen-Tube here. Just a little bit of a heads up for the too long didn't watch crowd. A bit of an update. I'm doing a-okay. I'm presently in the process of recording some more episodes preemptively. At the time I'm recording this, it is June 4th and 5 in the morning. So, just a bit of a heads up here. I'm doing some episodes of Scribblenauts in advance. So that should give me time to either enjoy the Switch 2 and do a wait and see approach while everybody gets adjusted to it. Now, if you want more information, please stick around and watch the full version of this video as to why I'm going to take a little bit of a break from recording, or just know that I'm okay and be on your way. So watch the full version of this video or don't. Okay, so if you're still here, you're probably watching the full version of this video. First of all, thank you for coming. Switch 2 literally comes out tomorrow, and I double-checked I've been hearing some rumors of late that a lot of retail stores are canceling pre-orders. I mean, at this moment in time, I'm kind of keeping my fingers crossed. I have ordered mine through Walmart, my pre-order. And, you know, first of all, I guess I should start with the process of pre-ordering, because suffice to say, when I pre-ordered it, it was literally during my shift at work. So, and I work nights. So believe me, trying to wait in line for a pre-order while doing your job is not exactly easy, but then again, you know, the same device that I use to scan... I mean, I work at a retail store, by the way. Won't tell you which one, but let's just say I use this device or an app to actually scan products so I know where they go in our store. So, yeah. So the same device I use to scan items is the same device I use to wait in line for pre-orders. And suffice to say, it was pretty difficult, but I did end up, I guess, getting lucky. And I say that with a grain of salt because literally, I mean, people were on this like day one as far as pre-orders go. And, you know, the fear that the price would, you know, jack up or, excuse me, raise in value, I should say, you know, amid the tariffs, I guess. So, yeah, as far as the price of the overall console goes between now and in the future, oh, that's fine. There we go. As far as the price of the console going up or down, I don't think it'll go down anytime soon, but I don't think it would be in Nintendo's best interest to raise it anytime soon either. Because, well, for starters, nobody has their hands on this thing, and Nintendo, as of right now, you know, has been kind of cracking down on leaks right now. I mean, they can go after anybody and everybody right now. I mean, they've always had that right. One of the stories that's caught my attention of recently is basically the new change to their policy where basically you don't really own your console, I guess, in that the console itself is basically just a conduit to which you're allowed to play games, right? So if you basically what they're trying to do is cut down on pirated software. You know, the homebrew crowd, or, you know, anybody who tries to modulate their console to get away with things. I mean that's all fine and dandy. You know, I personally never bootlegged. I never personally used any bootlegs. I have no reason to use a bootleg, and, you know, to me that's just kind of weird, right? I mean, have you seen there are people who, you know, have made knockoffs of various games or fan-made creations, made physical manifest, and I'm not talking Flash games, no, I mean, like, you know, the kind of bootlegs from overseas, you know? I mean, it's kind of crazy, you know, that those things even exist, for starters. I mean, but then again, other countries follow different copyright laws. Again, I don't mod my Switch at all. So, you know, no bootlegs for me. No, especially no device that gives me an edge in an online game. And, you know, I mean, it's kind of weird, you know, because back in the day, right, around the Super Nintendo era, I mean, there was a little-known company called Galoob or Codemasters. Shoutouts to the gaming historian, by the way, for this story, but apparently, that whole thing with the Game Genie, yeah, Nintendo hated it, right? And so they tried to sue Galoob, whereas Sega, on the other hand, at the time embraced the idea. But anyway, the judge ultimately ruled in Galoob's favor. Because basically back in the day, video games were like owning a book, right? If a player or if a reader of a book wanted to buy a book and start reading from chapter 3, you know, there's really nothing to prevent them from doing that, right? So why should there be any restrictions on what people can and can't do with their games once they own it, right? Well, now don't misunderstand me. I'm still not in favor of devices. What I'm trying to say is, back in the day, there were no online components, right? There was no real way to cheat in a game, you know, with other players online. I mean, you could still, you know, if you're playing with a friend, you know, in person, I mean, there were still cheat codes, yeah, in games. But, you know, that was pretty much like an honor system thing, right? So, I mean, nowadays, when it comes to cheating, you gotta really watch out for people who cheat in online games, you know? And suffice to say, that just doesn't make for a very good, you know, experience. So, yeah, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with Nintendo doing what they're doing and cracking down on that. Now, apart from the obvious, which I just stated, there's a couple of other concerns that I'm curious about with the Switch 2, right? As far as their agreement. What I want to know is, one, what about the use of, like, I don't know what you want to call them, fake amiibos? Or NFC tags that mimic amiibos? I don't know how to describe it, but, you know, for anyone who's ever bought them online, you know what I'm talking about. Does Nintendo have a way to detect that, or do they really care about that? And number two, my second concern is, well, basically what I'm doing right now. Right now I have a capture card hooked up to my Switch. Well, technically it's not connected to the Switch itself. It's connected to the dock, and the Switch is connected to the dock, and the dock is connected to my capture card, which is connected further to my computer. So I guess my second question is, what about capture software? I mean, from my understanding, I mean, capture software doesn't really add or take away anything from the experience of the console, and it doesn't even hard mod it either. It's basically just taking the audio visual and just placing it onto a computer, which allows you to record your gaming sessions, you know, like make your own replays at home or something like that. So I'm just kind of curious, like, after the Switch 2, you know, makes its rounds, I mean, will Nintendo be able to detect capture cards, and will they basically brick your console if you elect to use a capture card? I'm personally hoping not, because, well, I just don't think it would be in Nintendo's best interest to brick consoles just because, you know, they want to record videos to share online. Because, well, here's the thing, right? And this second question basically ties into something that I've noticed with the list of software and games that are supposed to be compatible with the Switch 2. One of the programs that are on the list is YouTube. Yeah, so you can actually watch YouTube by way of, you know, the Switch, right? In fact, let me just, yeah, you can see right here, there's YouTube. So, my question, I don't think Nintendo will, I think Nintendo, of all the extra programs, because I heard Crunchyroll, Hulu, etc. I heard those are going to be, you know, fallen by the wayside. That's not to say that they might not reintroduce it later, to the game, to the console. But as far as YouTube goes, I don't think YouTube would stay down for very long. In fact, I think of all the programs, I think YouTube stands a good chance of being reinstated. There's 3 reasons why I believe this to be the case. The first is that, the first has to do with, people's habits online, right? Like, for anyone who doesn't have YouTube Premium, again, I'm not advertising here, but for those of you who don't have YouTube Premium, and if you're the kind of person who, I don't know, to put it mildly, let's say you use in private browsing or incognito mode. Again, I'm not judging anyone who does, but chances are, if you watch YouTube on a personal device like a laptop or a phone or a cell phone, chances are the ads are probably, let's just say, a little bit below board. Like they're not really, like they're technically safe for work, but they're not really age appropriate. And yet, interestingly enough, right, here's the interesting part though. If you take your phone, right, and you're watching YouTube and you cast to your TV or another device that's capable of YouTube, right? If there's some communication, guess what? If you're watching on a device that is not inherently hooked up to a computer, or if you were watching YouTube on a TV, guess what? You don't see those kind of ads. All the ads are, PG and above board. So the first reason I think Nintendo would probably reinstate YouTube is basically self-censorship, right? As I've come to understand it, and I've watched YouTube without I haven't really been using YouTube Premium for very long, but when I had been using YouTube on my Switch, right? I see basically the kind of ads you would probably see on TV back in the day. They're not 90s good, unfortunately, but they're pretty solid, your standard shampoo commercial, your soda pop commercial, whatever you can think of. Basically, it's above board. So yeah, self-censorship is one thing that Nintendo could appreciate. So that's one reason. The second reason I think that Nintendo would probably allow for YouTube is because, well, to put it simply, nobody really advertises on TV anymore. And, what better way to get the word out there, or what better way to basically advertise your games effectively for free than to allow people to play games and post them online? Now, don't misunderstand me. Don't misunderstand. I'm not saying that all games are eligible for this. Like I said, Nintendo has every right to take down whoever they want, right? I'm not suggesting that any one YouTuber has more rights over another in this regard, but I'm just saying it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? I know Nintendo wants to avoid spoilers, right? But on the other hand, if they're not going to advertise on TV, and again, nobody advertises on TV anymore, then basically, what better way to get the word out than see other people play the game, right? In fact, I'm predicting that this Nintendo Switch 2 Tour, that's a mouthful. I have an idea that game's probably going to be recorded and someone is probably going to attempt to post it. Not me. I don't have any interest in doing that personally, but I'm pretty sure somebody else will, and, I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo tried to take that one down, but nevertheless, I think Nintendo would probably stick with YouTube for that reason, if only for the free advertising. Let's see, there was another thought I had. I lost my train of thought here. Let me think. Okay, YouTube, Switch 2. No, I think I think that kind of wraps up the thought. Hold on. Give me a moment here. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, so see, here's the thing, right? Some people out there watching this right now on YouTube probably only know about Nintendo because you're already a gamer, right? See, the way the internet works is that, if you're the kind of person who watches various things or does any kind of shopping online, chances are the ads you see on like Facebook, Twitter, etc., or even YouTube if you're not a premium member, chances are the ads you see are probably more catered to your interests, right? Again, like I said, if you're the kind of person who does a lot of in private browsing or whatever, again, not judging, chances are the ads are probably not really for you. But even if you weren't that kind of person, the internet, I mean, any company can advertise online, but the only people who will see the ads are people who are basically already interested. And the whole point of an advertisement is to get new blood in, right? I mean, if your advertisement is not bringing in new people, new people to the fold, new people to get interested in what you're selling, then the number of people that are interested are going to quickly dwindle to maybe a handful. See, that's kind of the reason why I think the Wii U failed back in the day, right? Because for one, television started to get pretty bland, by 2008, 6 or 8 or something. And, everybody just started, advertising online, all the crazy commercials you saw back in the 90s, they're gone. Restaurant, hell, I mean, heck, even fast food restaurants, you compare it back in the day to today, it's all like chrome, unimaginative, it's like everything has become the omega form version of what was out there, right? It's like if you're playing Smash Brothers, right? Like the Great Cave the stage based on the Great Cave Offensive. I mean, it is huge and massive, but for some it's a lot of fun, but then you compare it to the Omega form, which is just flat. It's just there. Here it is. I mean, there's nothing wrong with people who play on the Omega form, but like, come on, it's not as creative or it's basically a diorama of what could be, So yeah, the Wii U failed because there just wasn't a lot of advertising for it, The only people who knew the difference between the only people who bought a Wii U knew the difference between a Wii and Wii U. There was no kiosk, there was no pamphlets being held out, there were no videos explaining to parents back in the day, hey, here are the differences between the Wii and the Wii U. Which one do you have? And so like I said, it probably wouldn't be in Nintendo's best interest, having said that, to get rid of YouTube app, to get rid of their YouTube app, right? Because, like I said, if they're not going to go out of their way to really put any real effort into advertising to people online, or hell, even try to advertise on TV, then they're not really going to do so hot. In fact, the only reason most people are going to buy the Switch 2 is because, the very notable 2 in front of, after the word Nintendo Switch, to announce, to differentiate it between the original. And that's another thing, I've heard people I've heard an article online that suggested that the outer box of the Switch compared to the Switch 2 is like too similar to each other. I mean, hell, I had the same problem when I was trying to order a Switch, when I was trying to get a Switch OLED to upgrade for my original Switch. You know, I had to actually, I basically had to point it out to the person behind the counter, and yeah, I actually bought this in person. And this was back when, you know, when luckily there was an abundance of Switches, and, you know, everybody who could have gotten their hand on one already did, right? So, lucky me, I guess, but it was still pretty expensive, but, you know, probably not quite as much as it was on launch day. So, yeah, that's another reason the Switch 2 could probably fail, is the packaging might be too similar. So, again, very important that they don't get rid of YouTube for that reason. And the third and final reason that I think that Nintendo probably wouldn't get rid of YouTube on their platform, you know, get rid of the app, you know, that one. And, I mean, it's the simplest reason of all, that Nintendo has their own YouTube channel. Yeah, I mean, it's not just Nintendo of America, Nintendo of Europe, Nintendo of, you know, Japan. They all have their own unique YouTube channels, right? For different regions across the world. So, and again, you know, so, you know, Nintendo already effectively uses YouTube to advertise themselves out there. In fact, some people, like myself included, are already subscribed to the channel. Hell, I even watched, I think the last Nintendo Direct on the Switch 2, I actually watched on YouTube itself. In fact, I even watched people's reaction to that same video on their YouTube channel. So, again, in a nutshell, basically YouTube is probably what's probably getting the word out there for the Switch. So, no, I don't think... So, having said all three of these things, I don't think necessarily that capture cards are going to affect... I mean, don't quote me on this, don't quote me on this, people, okay? I don't want you to try it out and get your systems bricked here, but, you know, because I'm sure somebody else will already take that plunge and try to do it, right? But I'm just saying, I don't think Nintendo will necessarily brick your console for the use of a capture card. I mean, they might issue a copyright strike on your video for, like, sound content or unauthorized music, but that's pretty much all there is, right? So yeah, those are just my two main concerns, like the use of fake amiibo and capture cards. In an unrelated thing, and you know how I brought up fake amiibo cards? Here's the thing, and I'm going to admit this. When I was playing Tears of the Kingdom, I actually had some of those NFC cards on hand. And, you know, when I further, you know, in light of the information being given, I mean, to be fair, I actually used the cards on the Tears of the Kingdom game, but this was before the change of the agreement, so I really can't say for sure if it'll actually work on a Switch 2. I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying that, you know, I did actually use fake amiibos in that playthrough. So, in all honesty, though, I mean, the game didn't really give me in-game rewards that were anything game-breaking. Hell, everything I got from an amiibo, I could literally have gotten via a quest line or just happenstance, you know. But, you know, from this point going forward, I don't think I'll be tempting fate here, you know, just to play it safe, you know what I mean? What else? I don't think there's anything else. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend you try it, but you know, then again, I'm not sure exactly if the amiibos I used really were fake, because, see, when you go into the menu, when you go into the Switch's settings menu, there is an option for amiibos, and holding one up, the amiibo card itself is registered to somebody else. I mean, I bought these online, so I bought these from a source on Amazon, but, you know, I guess it was by some user by the name of Tim Drake or whatever. I mean, that's the name they put on the cards. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm not sure if the cards themselves were real, but they were taken out of figurines and repurposed. Like they put a special like sticker. You know, like they bought real, you know, like they bought real amiibos, took the chip out, and basically stuck, you know, special stickers on them. So, you know, the amiibos I was using probably were real, could be real. I mean, I don't know how the process goes. I mean, I can't really tell if it was I can't say it was a fake because it worked, but then again, just because it worked doesn't mean it's real. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, I'm a little bit lost or confused as far as the ambiguity of it goes. Again, not recommending you use it, but there you go. So, anyway, that's basically my 2 cents. Like I said, I'm probably going to take a bit of a hiatus. I mean, this is assuming I'm going to get my Switch. I mean, I had previously contemplated that if I didn't get my Switch tomorrow, that I probably would have taken off work Friday. But apparently fate kind of had to intervene already, and I ended up taking the day before my official staycation off because apparently that night I may have either twisted or broken my ankle. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with my left foot here. I mean, I can still kind of walk on it, so I don't know, maybe a huge sprain, but kind of felt like I popped something, so not really doing so hot. Anyway, hoping I can get some more cred here online so that, you know, I don't have to work my ass off for a living. But anyway, that's my 2 cents, and thank you so much for watching this update. Now, if you'll excuse me, I got to get back to recording some more episodes of Scribblenauts here. But yeah, thank you so much for coming, and if you'll excuse me, I got some work to do. I'll see you next time then. And please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It would really help me out. Thanks.